Hello everyone. Today we are playing Rust. Rust is a new survival game on Steam. So first we are going to start by pressing play game. This will lead us to a list of servers. So this will also be a guide to the game and not only just checking out the game and seeing how it's like and the controls and if this game is actually your money's worth. So first there's some official servers hosted by the game studio, I guess, or whoever made the game. I think this is the community, so anyone can easily host a server with Steam. There's actually an application on Steam that you can download, and then you can host it, and it'll appear here in community. You can also mod it with your own mods or someone else's mods, and it will appear here. You also have friends from Steam, and those servers that they're playing right now will appear. So first we're just gonna pop into some random server and we're gonna survive. You start the game, you'll wake up on a beach, and you press any key to wake up. Your first goal is to actually chop down wood. You won't see those same goals, they like appear in the corner. And my first goal that actually instead of just getting 100 wood, I just want you to get like 2000 wood so that you can make a base. And if you don't make a base and you leave the game, you're sleeping. So anyone can take your items. So you'll need a base to protect your items. And in this game there's also crates and there's other players. There's no single player, you have to play multiplayer. So when you start like this on the beach, you will look for a forest, head towards a forest, and you'll start chopping trees. So there'll be a red X that will show up. For example, here when I start chopping down this tree, you'll show a red X. And if you chop down the red X's, they give you an extra bonus, and if you chop down all of them, the whole tree will fall. And when it falls, it gives you like 100 wood as a bonus. So I'm actually gonna fast forward to when I get 2000 wood and start making the base. So I recommend before you start building a base, you go to a creative server and start practicing your builds because you may have limited resources. So first, I'm just gonna show you how to do a perfect 2x2 base. So you want to start by making two platforms here, and then you're gonna make a triangle foundation. So this here is called an airlock. What you'll do to make an airlock is you'll add two doors. So that way there'll be the player, when you open the door here, the player won't be able to run and both doors don't have to be closed. Right, because if you have only one door, if the door's open and you have nothing to defend and the player just runs in and kills you, your base is done. So you're gonna add in two doors here, and this is enough space for you to play as solo. But if you have more players, I recommend you build a huger base. You can also extend if you want the airlock. You can, for example, add in here another triangle, add in a real door here, which would be your airlock, and another door, which would be the base extension. So you also want to make sure there's walls around. So you want to make sure your 2x2 base has walls, because players will just run in, and you should not build close to spawn because that's where everyone spawns and it's like the first raiding place or base. So you'll see these are all wooden, right? This is basic wood. You may want to replace all this wood into stone because players will be able to break very easily through wooden walls and wooden doors. So you want metal doors, stone walls, and that's how you'll make your base unbreakable. So next you're gonna add in a floor triangle up here, and this will complete the walls and the door frames and the floors of your base. Next you're gonna need a door, so you'll need to craft two doors and you also need to craft two locks. I recommend that you get a sleeping bag and a campfire. Sleeping bag because it gets dark sometimes at night and you need to see what you're doing inside your base. You're also gonna need something, so that 1,000 wood I told you to get, you're gonna need to spend it on a tool club board. So that's very important. This actually allows you to upkeep your base. And if you don't upkeep your base, it'll decay into nothing and you lose everything. So you'll have to put in items. There'll be a cost per the size of your base. So the more resources you make your base with, the more you'll need resources to upkeep it. So that's why it's recommended that you have a huge team with a huge base. So if you place the doors correctly, it should stop any other player. So if you, for example, left this door open and you're trying to exit, the player wouldn't be able to get through. So you can open one door, then you can close it behind you, and then here you can open it and get out without the other player getting in that's outside. So next you want to add in locks, because that's very important to keep out players. So you'll need to add it to both doors, or else they can just easily open the door. And you see that it's green, that means the door is unlocked. So you'll need to press E holding it, and you'll need to create a key for this, and it'll let you unlock it. You also need to create keys with wood, so you need to gather up some wood for this. And make sure that you make multiple if you have multiple players, and you should keep some somewhere hidden in outside of your base or in another base somewhere, because if you die with your keys and you don't have any way to get out, let's say you don't have a sleeping bag and you have no keys, you're going to need to put your keys somewhere, so you will need a spawn point inside the base. And if you do die, you need to make sure that those other players don't know where your base is, because that could be the end of your base if they have your keys. And if they do, you should just switch the locks to some new locks. So next of all, you should just put all your resources that are required here and keep your base as much as you want, upkeep it. But we just remember there's actually a timer there. So if you don't put enough resources, your base will decay after a while, even if you're offline. Another thing to mention, that when you are building your base, you may want to upgrade it. How do you upgrade it? You make something called a hammer. This will allow you to upgrade to any of these 4 resources. So this will require more resources to upkeep, and it'll be stronger for people to get out. So I recommend you upgrade all your walls to stone, because if you don't have stone walls, it's extremely easy to get in. I mean, wooden walls are okay for a start. I would just use wood for the roof, because most likely they're just going to get you from the bottom of the walls there, not from actually the top. There's also such thing as door campers. So if you place a campfire here, and you're sitting here and someone's in front of the door waiting for you to exit, your comfort will go up if someone else is nearby, which will also show if someone's outside your base. And it'll give you a warning not to go out, because you'll know that the campfire has comfortability rates more higher than without players. Oh shoot, I just messed it up. So next you should get a tool called the hammer. This tool will allow you to upgrade. You have 4 selections of resources. Just keep in note, they'll actually cost more to keep your base in upkeep. If you don't keep your base upkeep, it'll decay. So the floors and the roofs should be all wooden to save resources, because they're least likely going to break in from the floors or the roof. And these walls here, I recommend them being stone, and you should also replace these doors with metal doors and just put the keys in the same way I showed you before. So we are now going to join into a different server in Rust. This one is an official server, and I'm going to show you some gameplay. So we just started off. There's an oil rig close to spawn. So I haven't been to an oil rig, but basically there are boats in this game where you can go to the oil rig and there'll probably be stuff there. Lots of fuel which you can use to power cars. So this is another player. If you press V, you can talk to them. Hello, are you peaceful? And they can hear you around them. So when you kill this player, they drop dead like this, and you can press E to loot them. And if they're not fully dead, you can actually revive your teammates. So usually in spawn, you want to go away. These structures and roads have a bunch of loot. So this map is mostly snow. So nobody's really found that snow. The reason no one's at snow biome is because snow biomes make you cold and requires you to wear lots. It makes you very cold, and you need to wear lots of clothes. And there's also is another problem, which is bears, and they're mostly found there. So we're gonna head up here. Probably we're going to go to site A there at W7. So this is a grid map, and this is how you'll be able to tell your teammates on a call, or where you want to memorize something, you can memorize it there on the grid. So in this game you have hunger first and health. If you're losing health, you'll also be bleeding. You can lose health by jumping off cliffs, which will make you have full damage. Players hitting you will also make you lose hearts. You also have first. So first, right now my first is at 87. It is what to fix first. You need to drink water, and if you're eating human meat to help your hunger situation, with the little utensils, that shows you that that's your hunger. And hunger takes a long time to get low, but if it does get low, you may actually die, and you die slowly with that. And around Christmas, there are these presents. There's also airdrops to replace them, but they come on the ground every once in a while, and airdrops also drop stuff. So for example, this present here, which is very helpful, drops some wood, just drop some snowballs, which aren't really helpful, but some stone, which will be pretty helpful. I recommend you get a spear as a weapon to start. You'll press eat when you want to eat something, and you want to press drop to drop something. So over there you see where it says wooden spear, and there's like a settings, like gear moving. That means the amount of time that you need to craft something. So usually when you see presents, that means someone has actually been here dropping the presents, or been nearby. You can press control to shift and to go lower. Shift is to go faster. If you do not understand the controls, you go press escape, and you can go press options, and it'll tell you, and you go get controls and options, and it'll actually show you the controls, and you can change them if you want. For example, when I first started, I was more familiar with Minecraft controls, so I had to change them to more Minecraft-like controls before this video. But after I changed them back so you guys can understand what I'm doing. So if you're on larger servers, there's also another problem, is that there's a bunch of players which can easily kill you. There'll also be lots of lag. Usually it's because either players made lag machines that purposely lag servers, or because they're just doing something to lag the servers. Or a bunch of players online at the same time. For example, as you can see right now, the server is glitching a lot. So you can also see vehicles, very large vehicles on the map. There's two vehicles you will see. You'll see ferries, which are very important for looting, and you'll see helicopters, which will be dropping airdrops. So that's one of the glitches that will most likely happen to you, is you'll get teleported back from where you were a few seconds ago. So it'll give you there a bunch of objectives. It'll tell you basically the basics there. Hope you follow them. This here is a scrap area, so you want to hit this scrap here, and it'll give you scrap items. These scrap items are very useful when you're starting, and it'll give you scrap. So this here looks like junk. It basically is junk if you try to craft it, but if you do craft it, you can actually make it either into metal doors or into further mechanics. You can also sell it. It's like the currency here. So there's vehicles around the roads. Sometimes they're broken, and you'll be able to access them here. This is just a ruined truck, so we won't be able to actually use anything inside. So here, when I pop here, open this crate, here you'll get some scrap usually, and some other stuff. Here, for example, I got some scrap and some rope. So next, I recommend you build in a snow biome. All you have to do is just wear clothes and try not to get dead. There's also some armor. So for example, there'll be chests around scrap areas around the roads or structures, which for example this one just gave me a full set of wooden armor, which is really helpful. So once you have your spear, it's recommended that you start chopping down trees with your stone that you're given at start, and then you start making a map. This map here, which is called a building plan, will allow you to construct stuff. A hammer will allow you to upgrade. There will be another part of this video, a guide to building this space that you'll need to build for a start. So here, for example, you have machines here which you can craft. For example, this is a fluid switch and pump. That is some tech. And if you research further, not in this video because that's not the basics, you can learn how to use them. So as you can see here, this is another player's base. So they made a mistake when they were building this. They made only one door and it's wooden, so I can easily just break in there. This is only 20 health. So for example, if you have something called a satchel, which is better than a rock, you can actually break through this door and you'll get an older loot. So you want to listen around you, and I know this sounds crazy, but if you press Alt, you need to look behind you a lot. No matter what you're doing, you need to be listening to sounds, because there may be players walking there, and if you know they're there, you can run quickly. They may not know you're there, but it's very important that you don't get chased or killed, because they can even one-shot you if you're not wearing any armor with a gun. So the great thing about these massive servers is that you can get lots and lots of airdrops around there and lots of loot, because usually these servers increase the amount of drop rate. So the good thing about airdrops is that you can get stuff. For example, you see here I just got this gun. Normally this sometimes drops and you can actually shoot people. So this is one of the basic guns here in the game. To shoot it, you'll just continue holding and you'll fire like that, and you'll press R and you can reload the gun. So you don't want to be shooting guns around because players don't know you're there. So that there is a plane. Now when you see a plane, it's normally an airdrop, because you can't build planes as a player. So when you see a plane, those are airdrops. There is a story to the game, but I recommend you guys find out what the story is, because you'll ruin the whole lore of the game. But if you go around, for example, a harbor or some structures that are actually active, there'll be turrets which give you a 20-second countdown to run away. When that happens, do not go around those structures and do not die from there, because you'll be like one-shotted if you go around there. So sometimes some players will leave these watering gathering stuff. Don't actually destroy them. You drag discontents and you'll be able to drink it, which is very important. You see right now I'm running out of thirst. I should look for some water nearby. So you see right there, I heard a player and he's chopping down trees. So when you see this happening, you know it's an OP player, depending on depending on how many trees he's cutting down, and you should probably go away. But if you do have a gun like me, you can try killing him, even though it's very risky. And the more players that's online on the server, and the more the limit is for the amount of players, the more chance you have of running into players or getting raided. So right now I'm going to take a peek. You see this player has a car, and we can see he's down here somewhere. So on a normal gun you can right click, because this is the basic gun, I can't snipe him out. So the best thing I can do is just run away. See, his car broke. When you see a car flaming like that or smoking, that means the car is broken. You'll need to replace some parts to fix the car. Oh shoot. So this player is right now trying to attack me. So when you're running away from a player in PvP, you don't want to look back away from him, and then like this for example, he comes at you and you die. This is some noob. So if you see someone not wearing anything, just running with a stone, don't kill them. It's wasting your time. And don't shoot them, because it's wasting your bullets and you'll be hurt. When you shoot, people can hear you from far away. So they're different rocks. So this is mineral rock, and these are normal rocks. And Sometimes they're just decorations in a terrain, so you need to make sure that the rock is actually shining, or else you're just wasting your time. So the same for the trees. If you hit the X, you'll get more resources. Same for rocks. If you hit this shiny stuff here, you'll get more rock, and the rock will slowly decrease until there's no more rock. So now it's also important that you don't fall off cliffs, because it's one way to actually die. So that's it for the basics. So is Rust worth your money? Rust is worth your money. If you like PvP games with the shooter aspect, or just realistic survival games, this is the perfect game for you. It has massive multiplayer servers, and I think that this is a great game because you can build bases. You can also socialize with other people, because during Corona you don't really see a lot of people. So if you want to socialize, then it's the perfect game for that, to also socialize a little bit. This game here is $26 on holidays on a special, and it's $30 normally. Now, why wouldn't you enjoy it? Well, sometimes it can be ruined by other players, because when you're playing the game, sometimes people just explode your base, say bad words, and that may ruin your experience. Another downside to this game is that if you have team members, uh, you have to be online constantly. You have to be aware, and you always have to be thinking about it and checking your Rust Plus. And that's something most people don't do. And for example, I was reading an article, and someone had a friend texting them saying that they were being raided at 2 a.m. And next thing they know, it's 4 a.m. and they're defending against people. So that's just an example of how it's not really fun. But it's very popular. A lot of people are playing it. I mean, it's not the Minecraft replacement, because you can't really, but it's really realistic survival. I mean, it's not like a blocky survival replacement. It has its own story. So is Rust worth your money? Well, if you like PvP games and survival, this is definitely worth it for you.